Foster care in the United States is a very poorly executed system that at any given time has hundreds of thousands of children waiting patiently to be loved, and it is an absolute joke. As of right now in 2020, over 400,000 children are currently in foster care. These children did not choose these lives. Majority have been abused, neglected, and abandoned. Even with the occurrence of any child in foster care being lucky enough to find a family willing to adopt them, nearly half of foster care parents quit in the first year of their experience. Not to mention that majority of caseworkers for foster care are mostly untrained with children. America's foster care system is an absolute embarrassment, and there are many ways to fix it. But the best solution of all is not money or more training or anything of sorts. It's the broken, neglected children of America's voices needing to be heard. Fixing what the foster care system decides to hire will be a great first step in solving such a large nationwide issue. One of the biggest problems of all in foster care is the untrained and unmotivated workers who have no motivation to do their jobs. For example, in the book A Place to Stand by Jimmy Santiago Baca, he claims that he was able to leave the place any time and that the workers give not a care in the world. If there was more commitment from the American foster care system to hiring valid workers, then there may be a much larger amount of issues that may never present themselves. This leads me to my next point, that the foster care system in America does not give its employees enough to work with. Studies show that becoming a caseworker requires minimal training and offers just above minimum wage. If workers didn't have such a low amount of motivation to work, other than just for the money, then maybe there wouldn't be such a shortage of them. All the foster care system would have to do is just train the workers a little more and pay a decent amount of money. Yes, this change would cost a lot, but if it must be sacrificed in order to save hundreds of thousands of children, then it is absolutely worth it. This leads me into my next point, which is not only about the foster care workers, but the foster care parents. Even if the problem of caseworkers is solved, there would still be quite a few issues. The main one being that foster care parents are untrained with children and don't care in the slightest about them. Even though they are background checked before fostering, they are majority of the time untrained with children. In a similar way to fixing the problem with caseworkers, a little bit of money could be spent to ensure that foster parents know exactly what they are doing and go through some training. Now last but certainly not least, let's talk about the children in foster care. Clearly the biggest problem of all is how these kids are treated. There are countless studies showing that foster children say that they are unsafe in the environment they live in and that they are not cared for. There's even studies that show that foster care children are 7 times more likely to commit suicide than the average child. Like in the book, A Place to Stand by Jimmy Santiago Baca, there were leaking roofs everywhere, wobbly beds, and rock-hard mattresses. These children have a right to be saved and deserve the same opportunities as other children. Just because they were neglected, abused, and were forced into foster care doesn't mean that they are worthless. These kids deserve a chance.